This agreement now means that millions more people will be able to tune in and watch this iconic race weekend. It also means that when they do this race, and by the way, by moving it, in addition to moving it time, we're also moving it to a Sunday as well. It means that more people will watch and witness the greatest show in the Mid-Atlantic and continue to see Maryland on the world stage, exactly where Maryland belongs. But these changes are about more than just television and timing. They also continue to demonstrate what happens and what Maryland can do when Maryland controls what happens next. The third, we are making key investments in the area and the neighborhoods as well, because we know what kind of societal and financial return that we are going to see with that investment. As I said from the outset of this process, the goal was not just to create winners on the track. The goal was to make sure we were creating winners off the track too. And last year, we acquired Pimlico Racecourse. As we speak, we're investing to redevelop it into a best-in-class facility in all of American horse racing, and we're doing it while also making sure that we can and will invest in Park Heights. Yeah. Well, last month, with our partners on the Board of Public Works, we acquired Laurel Park Racetrack to transform it into one of Maryland's statewide thoroughbred training centers. And just last week, we completed the acquisition of the intellectual property rights to the Preakness and Black Eye Susan. This guarantees that the Preakness will call Baltimore home for decades to come. And by the way, here's the thing to remember about it too. We did all of this without using a single penny from general fund tax dollars. So the taxpayers will benefit from it, but the taxpayers are not paying for it. We made this decision for a simple reason. You cannot control your future if you do not own it. You do not control what the future brings if you aren't the ones making the decision about what the future brings. Maryland now owns the rights. Marylanders now own the assets. Marylanders will make the decisions. More than 28,000 Maryland jobs depend on this industry. The horse racing industry generates about $3 billion to the state of Maryland. And considering all of those things, it's important that Marylanders are the ones who are making the decisions about its future. And here's what I also know. I'm depending on the people right here in this room and in our communities to make sure that we get this right. The business community, our partners in elected office, the horsemen, our neighborhoods, our communities, and our families. We're going to need all of you to make sure this works and make sure that this momentum continues, because the momentum we are now seeing to grow and diversify our economy, it is real. That in the last 3 years, we have had over $14 billion of private investment in our state. In recent months, we've announced massive and historic deals with Samsung Biologics, with AstraZeneca, and the Sphere is coming to Maryland and coming to Prince George's County. We've locked in the Baltimore Orioles, which is helping to lead a Baltimore renaissance that is taking place. We've locked in a $1 billion Capital of Quantum initiative and investment from Microsoft. And in the past 6 months, Maryland's job growth rate has not just beaten the national average, it has almost doubled the national average. So we know we have more work to do, but we know we're not going to stop doing it until the job is done, because I will always bet on Maryland. Today, this Preakness deal joins the list of things that will not just grow our economy, but continue to show that in Maryland, we control our own destiny, and we don't need others' help to do it. Preakness can and will remain the second jewel of the Triple Crown, and nothing will change that. And by the way, winning the Triple Crown, that's the dream. That's the dream of every single jockey, every single owner, every single horse. The reason that we know that is because we know the name Secretariat. We know the names of War Admiral. We know their names because they won the most prized treasure in the entire industry, in the entire sport. So here's my message. If you want to win the Triple Crown, we'll see you in Baltimore. And it is now my honor to introduce our friend and the CEO of the Greater Baltimore Committee, Mark Anthony Thomas.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
First, I want to thank Governor Westmore and our First Lady for their leadership and inviting the Maryland business community to be part of today's important announcement. We know that our state is home to major employers, research institutions, and some of the world's leading entrepreneurs and innovators. And we're all committed to a strong economy, and that includes as well culture. This is why we proudly stand with you today, Governor. To NBC Sports, your commitment to the Preakness is a powerful vote of confidence in one of America's sports traditions and in Maryland's future. I would like to acknowledge I have members from the GBC board here with me today, Janet Curry, Tim Regan, Calvin Butler, Mohan Suntha, who's our chair. The business community is serious about its support for this effort. Under Governor Moore's leadership, Maryland is making bold investments in industries and institutions that will shape our future, from life sciences to quantum to advanced manufacturing and artificial intelligence. But Maryland's economic future will not only be built by what is emerging. We must also protect, strengthen, and grow the assets that have long distinguished our state's economy. The Preakness is one of those great assets. The Preakness is a globally recognized brand. It is a major driver of tourism in our state's cultural economy. It is the centerpiece of our equine industry. And most importantly, y'all, the Preakness is ours. Strengthening the Preakness means we're investing in business, jobs, communities across Maryland. This is why that ownership mattered. It gives Maryland this ability to not just preserve Preakness, but now we can grow it. We can expand its cultural presence, we can strengthen its influence across America, and we can build it to be one of America's premier annual sports and entertainment destinations. Today's partnership with NBC demonstrates what ownership makes possible. It's going to expand our audience, it's going to strengthen this brand, and now it opens new opportunities for tourism, hospitality, partnership, and investment. Over the last few months, the GBC has been a leading voice in supporting the state taking ownership of the Preakness. We believe this was the right long-term investment for our state. It was the right decision this summer. Today reinforces that decision. GBC remains committed to mobilizing Maryland's business community, maximizing the economic value of the Preakness, and contributing to its long-term success. 10 years from now, we're going to look back at this moment, and this will be one of the smartest investments that Maryland has made in one of its most prominent assets. Congratulations to all of us for today. Thank you to NBC. I'm really excited about the leadership of the Jockey Club, and at this time, I'd like to introduce Bill Knopf, who's the Jockey Club CEO and president.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. We have just started working with the GBC probably in the last few months, and it's been incredible. Mark brings, a wealth of information, and we're incredibly excited. So thank you for that intro. I want to start off by saying thank you to John Miller, Gary Quinn, Rick Cordella, and the entire NBC team. They were tremendous in this process, and it was a long process, and we are incredibly proud to call you our partners moving forward. I also wanted to say thank you to Doug Perlman and Sports Media Advisors. They represented us. I want to thank Jim Drescher, chairman of our board, T.K. Kugler, who led the committee for this search, and our entire Maryland Jockey Club board has just been incredibly supportive throughout this whole process. Before I get into the Preakness, I did want to add one component that is part of our deal that I think is very special that NBC is going to showcase for us, and that is 2 other dates outside of the Black-Eyed Susan and the Preakness that they are going to show on Peacock, and that is Maryland Million Day. Which everyone knows is a tremendous event, great history, legacy to it, and it showcases Maryland sired and Maryland bred horses, and that's something to look forward to. The other date they're going to showcase is our Preakness Preview Day, which is where the Federico Tessio and Weber City Miss Stakes, where we run, which is the previews to the Preakness. The horses who win those races get a free entry into the Preakness and the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. And we just started recently branding at Preakness Preview Day, and it's seen tremendous growth, and we expect to grow it further. And that gives the local flair horses a chance to compete against, the big horses. And we had one of those this year with Brittany Russell and Taj Mahal. So we're incredibly excited, and thank you to NBC for adding those 2 days outside of the Preakness and the Black-Eyed Susan. Now on to the Preakness, a personal reflection. In my office at Laurel, I have a print on the wall. It's of the 1989 Preakness with Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. And I saw that race at 16 years old. I've had that poster probably that long. And, of course, I lived in New Jersey, and I've recently moved here a couple of years ago. And I was so excited that as soon as I got this job, I could, hang that prominently. It was the greatest race I've ever seen. And that's what almost put me onto this path of horse racing. So just as a personal note, I'm incredibly proud to be here for this moment. The terms I think of for the Preakness, I think of the word iconic, timeless, and proudly Baltimore. The Preakness has 151 years of history, and we are planning for the future of it right now. Somewhere in here, we actually have the trophy, one of the winners' trophies displayed. Right, oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Governor. I'm like, I missed that. This is tremendous having this here. It was loaned to us from the Boniface family, who won this in 1983 with deputed testimony, the last Maryland bred to win the Preakness. So it's very, very ceremonial and historic. We acknowledge the great history of this race, and especially the Preakness being 2 weeks after the Derby. But we recognize that change should always be examined. Other professional sports constantly reevaluate their rules, and now is this time for change. Moving the Preakness 1 week later, as the governor alluded to, later it's going to allow us for greater participation, and it's just that is simply the goal. But I think at 3 weeks, it also maintains the test of a champion. It's going to take a lot to do it. Additionally, the Black-Eyed Susan moving to the Saturday provides for a potential historic day. We're incredibly excited to grow that day. We now have a championship weekend, right? 4 of the next 6 years, that weekend will be on Memorial Day weekend. And from here on out, Baltimore will now be the focus of that weekend in the future. With renovations well underway at Pimlico, a training center, obviously the Preakness IP in our hands, Maryland's future is bright. I did want to touch on the series announcement that Naira and Churchill announced on Monday, and it was just obviously recently announced, and we look forward to more details coming out on that. The majority of that series races are actually in the summer and the fall, but we stand up here today, and the Preakness is focused on the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown has been going for 100 years, and it's going to be around for 100 more, and it will always run through Pimlico. So lastly, thank you to Governor Moore, First Lady, for their unwavering support of this industry and the Jockey Club especially. So thank you so much. I want to introduce John Miller, Senior Vice President of Operations of NBC Sports.
My name is John Miller. I run acquisitions and programming for NBC Sports, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm a son of Maryland. I was born and raised here. So this is, there was a little bit more than just trying to get a deal done. I wanted to make sure that the Preakness was going to live for a long, long time on NBC. I used to come to the Preakness when I was a kid in high school and college, and I remember what a fun day it was, and I haven't missed a Preakness in I don't know how many years. We've been broadcasting it since 2001, and I think I've been to every one. So we're excited to announce that we're extending our relationship for 6 more years. As the governor has mentioned, we're now going to move the Preakness a week later. We're actually going to move it 8 days later. So there will be 22 days following the Derby until the Preakness. That'll be on that Sunday of Memorial Day, and the Black-Eyed Susan will be on Saturday. What that does, it does a couple of things. It enables the horses to recover. It enables us to take a better advantage of the horses that are at the Derby to come here. It also gives NBC an extra week of promotion. NBC has a very strong lineup of programming during that time of the year. In addition to having the Kentucky Derby, we also have the NBA playoffs and the conference quarterfinals, semifinals, and every other year we have the conference finals. The same team that does the Kentucky Derby will come down here to produce the Preakness, which is an unbelievable group of production and on-air talent people. So we really feel that all these things added together give us an added advantage to make the second leg of the Triple Crown as big and as prominent as ever. And we are thrilled to celebrate the history of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. I really share your vision, First Lady Moore. I think it's going to be terrific to be here on Memorial Day weekend, and we are thrilled and cannot wait to get started. There will be 10 hours of coverage Preakness weekend between NBC, SN, Peacock, and NBC Sports, which is unprecedented for this property, and we are looking forward to it. And I thank all of you. Bill, you've been an unbelievable partner. I also want to recognize, standing over here, Gary Quinn, who's my colleague, who has been with me every step of the way on this, and we would not have been able to work through all the things that we have to work through inside and outside of our company without his help. So on behalf of everybody at NBC Sports, I want to thank you, and let's go racing.